Our new Lenten devotional is now available at thedailyarticle.org. In Awaken My Heart, you will ask God to awaken the heart of our nation and our culture, as well as your own heart. The devotional begins with Ash Wednesday, which falls on February 14th this year, and culminates on Easter Sunday, which is March the 31st. Each of the 47 daily readings requires only a few minutes, but we pray that the suggested reflections, questions, and prayer topics will spur you to spend much longer in conversation with the Father. Request your copy of Awaken My Heart today at thedailyarticle.org. Greetings and welcome to the Daily Article Podcast for Thursday, January the 18th, 2024. I'm Chris Elkins with the Denison Forum, narrating today's article written by Dr. Jim Denison. Since Roe v. Wade legalized abortion in America, more than 63 million babies have been aborted in our country. This is a population 4 times the size of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Houston combined. And yet, more Americans than ever before think abortion should be legal under any circumstances. More than 2/3 also believe it should be legal in the first 3 months of pregnancy. If you believe, as I do, that life begins at conception, you might be asking yourself, how can so many people be so wrong on this critical issue? It's not because pro-life supporters are not vocal and visible. The National March for Life is tomorrow in Washington, D.C. It will be followed by Sanctity of Life Sunday, both of which are timed to coincide with January 22nd, 1973, when the Supreme Court issued its ruling that discovered a quote-unquote right to abortion in the U.S. Constitution. It is no longer because of Roe v. Wade. After the Supreme Court overturned this horrendous ruling in 2022, returning the issue to the states, abortions increased nationwide. It's not because the science is unclear. The Supreme Court claimed in its 1973 ruling, we need not resolve the difficult question of when life begins. When those trained in the respective disciplines of medicine, philosophy, and theology are unable to arrive at any consensus, the judiciary, at this point in the development of man's knowledge, is not in a position to speculate as to the answer. But resolving the difficult question of when life begins is precisely the issue. If life begins at conception, our founding declaration that all men are created equal and endowed with unalienable right to life should clearly apply to preborn babies, as should every legal protection that currently applies to babies from the moment they are born. The science is clearer than ever. As Jan Langman writes in Medical Embryology, quote, the development of a human being begins with fertilization. Find a link in today's episode notes for Princeton University's large collection of scientific statements concurring with this assessment. On the 10th anniversary of Roe v. Wade, Ronald Reagan wrote the only book ever published by a sitting U.S. president. In Abortion and the Consensus of a Nation, he states, the real question today is not when human life begins, but what is the value of human life? The abortionist who reassembles the arms and legs of a tiny baby to make sure all of its parts have been torn from its mother's body can hardly doubt whether it's a human being. The real question for him and for all of us is whether the tiny human life has a God-given right to be protected by the law, the same right we have, end quote. Why, then, do so many Americans support the abortion of preborn children? Some claim that abortion must be legal as an alternative for women who are victims of rape or incest. However, while such crimes are unspeakably horrific, only 1% of women who choose abortion do so for this reason. Others cite the need to protect the health of the mother. However, only 3% of abortions are chosen for this reason. In fact, the most popular motives for abortion are unready for responsibility, 21%, can't afford a baby now, 21%, concerned about how having a baby would change her life, 16%, is too immature or young to have a child, 11%. Has all the children she wanted, or all children are grown, 8%. Here's the foundational issue. Most Americans want the right to determine what is right for themselves. This is a major reason the majority of men in America want abortion to be legal under any circumstances. They want the state to have no authority over their personal decisions as well. And they want a woman who becomes pregnant with their unwanted child to be able to abort it. This quest for personal autonomy extends to other moral issues. It helps explain LGBTQ advocacy by those who are not LGBTQ, for example. They not only see this as a civil right for others, but they also want the right to live their lives however they wish. My purpose today is not to inflict guilt on those who have chosen abortion in the past, nor is it to offer simple answers to such a divisive and complex issue. Rather, it is to make this point. Our democracy can function effectively only if it's practiced within the consensual morality its founders embraced. As Benjamin Franklin noted, only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. When American culture decided that all truth is personal and all morality is subjective, our collective future became imperiled. If we will not extend justice to the most innocent and vulnerable among us, our preborn babies, how can we claim to be a just society? How does the God that we know from Matthew 19:14, who cherishes children, who fashioned us in our mother's womb, as stated in Psalm 139, verses 13 through 16, and Jeremiah 1, verse 5, and forbids the taking of innocent life in Proverbs 6, verse 17, see our nation? How is he calling you to love life as he does? The Denison Forum team is grateful for our daily article podcast subscribers. Please share the podcast with others. And for more news discerned differently, visit denisonforum.org.